Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Felis Mengus, Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Playing Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, Effie Patriot, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Mere in the Shire, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, J Mel's 24, Yu Unamento, Iron 26, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links, as I say, to Patreon are below this video. And with that, I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
On the path of kind of trying to monetize what Nathan calls the feast of nonsense. And he got his head in the clouds and he's, talking about the ether, trying to create his own, new field of science and, got away from the actual truth. And it's unfortunate.
Right.
Morning.
Morning, Nathan.
How's it going?
I'm doing okay. I feel bad. I have to jump off in about 20 minutes for a work meeting.
I'm just here commuting to work. Just figured I'd stop in, check it out.
Jolly good.
Hello, Nathan.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm busy. Just trying to list a microphone I've just bought. See if it sounds any good.
No, that sounds perfect.
No, not this one. This one.
Oh. How many microphones do you
Well, the
have?
pickup pattern runs 48 volt phantom power via the XLR socket in the bottom. It does have a few signs of its age, given it's got a few scratches. Yeah, sounds fine. Sorry about that. Just too many things doing at once. Sorry about that. Just doing too many things at once.
I know that feeling for sure.
Glad it worked. A lot of the microphones I buy off people that don't know whether or not they work. So they sell them as spares or repair because they have no means of testing them. So I take a little gamble on them in the hope that they'll work. Obviously, if they do, they're profitable. If they don't, they go in the bin, which means they're not very profitable. This one worked. Happy days.
I was intrigued by one you had posted recently that it looked like kind of two circles you put on top of each other, making it look like the number 8. Do you remember that one?
That was 2 microphones. So, yes, I've kept those. I bought 4 and kept 2. So I've sold 2 of them and kept 2 of them. But what they are is ribbon microphones. So inside they've got a literal strip of metal that's corrugated that they run like 2 wires from, positive and negative, and it just passes a signal as it vibrates. It's really crude. It's about as crude as I might get. But the reason I wanted them was to do something called the bloom line configuration, which is where you stack them on top of each other, and because they pick up equally on the back and on the front, they cancel at the side, which means that if you put them 90 degrees to each other, if you're talking directly into one, you're talking into a null of the other, and it cancels out. So it means if you run them in stereo, you get a really natural transition from one to the other. So the midpoint sounds really focused in the center. The left is really clearly on the left, and the right's really clearly on the right, even if you're close, far away, whatever. So I really like that configuration. I just like doing things in stereo. So I've bought another set for the same purpose, just to do a few stereo recordings that are pencil condensers. But that one was doing a very specific configuration. Bloomline, it's called, after the man with the same name.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I've kept them. So if I ever need to, I don't know, use them as drum overheads or something, I'll use them for that. Speaking of drum overheads, I was trying to buy some Beyerdynamics yesterday, and obviously I'm buying them for the most part to sell them. Now, some of them I do keep like those, but for the most part I'm buying them to sell them, right, to keep the lights on. And I'm trying to haggle with this guy and going, your price is just too high, they just don't sell for that. Bullshit. And he's like, well, no worries, thanks for the offer. Have you tried Argos? I was like, you cheeky bastard. Have you tried Argos? Because I'm offering him peanuts. And he's pointing out, look, just one of these mics in this drum set sold for £160. And what I want to say is, yeah, that's why I want him. Anyway. I didn't say that. All the tricks of the trade to buy things for a good price, because I managed a pawnbroker for a long time in my hometown until I didn't. And the owner and the consultant that he paid to come in to train the staff taught us all sorts of really clever tricks to buy things at a good price and sell them at a good price as well. So I've just kept all of those tricks of the trade and picked up a few new ones from other sellers who are pawnbrokers that sell online on eBay. And I remember getting suckered into buying something and going, why have I bought this? You know what I mean? Why am I watching this item? Why am I buying it? And then I kind of stepped back from it and went, that's how they've suckered me into being interested in this item. I'll do that too.
Right. I was helping somebody here in the States. I don't know if they do the same thing over by you, where they have the estate sale, and they had an app with basically the map of all the local estate sales. Is that anything you ever considered as far as acquiring the microphones?
No, not exactly. So I just buy on eBay just because there's no physical time to do that. What I can do is, like now, I can probably hear it in the background, things going as it's giving me notifications of things that are ending that I might want to bid on. But I don't have time to do that. When I was out of work, I would go to people's houses that had got junk that they wanted to sell. So we have sites called Free Cycle and Freegal. And this is before I had any kids, or I think it was even before I was married. I was definitely with Paula, but I wasn't married to her. And we were broke. You still got to pay the mortgage. So I'd go to these sites, look for something that I thought I could either repair or just flip, and I'd go and collect it for free. And then immediately stick it on eBay, completely defying the rules. They're like, you must not pick things up from this site to just sell on eBay. I'm like, well, yeah, I need to keep the mortgage paid, so I will be doing exactly that. So not estate sales, but people who are giving away things that they didn't want to go to the hassle of selling. They just wanted to put on a website with the worst possible picture and hope that someone just comes and takes it away. And that's what I used to do back in the day. And then doing that got me the job as the manager of a pawnbroking shop.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had dabbled in eBay back in the year 2000 with my buddy, and we were selling DVDs in the States that weren't available here. And then I guess, there was some competition on eBay, so they had made some fake bids and purchases and then gave us all kinds of negative reviews and got our little shop, I guess in trouble, for a better word. And it just put a sour taste in my mouth for eBay,
Yeah, I've had that sort of happen recently. So I bought something off somebody and they just had a really good way with a camera, and they managed to take the photos in such a way that the focus wasn't quite right and it blurred out all of the scratches. And when I got them, I'm like, man, these are far more scratched up and dinged up than I expected. And I'd paid top dollar for them. And I moaned and I arranged to send them back, and then eBay refused. So they didn't want to. I can't remember if it was the grounds that I'd suggested to get a refund for them and get them sent back, which I'd already agreed with the seller. But because eBay refused, what they then did was bought my cheapest item, which was a couple of pounds. I'm like, why have they done that? My wife said, well, because if you now give that person, it was a she, negative feedback, she will then leave you negative feedback on that £2 item. So you've bought a £400 item, she's bought a £2 item. And if you give her bad feedback, she'll give it you. So it's kind of a stalemate. So I'm like, right, well, I see. So I didn't give a negative feedback. So I thought, not that I would ever need to be in a position. I tend to advertise things very, very clearly, and even make a video showing how my microphones that I'm selling sound. And in the video, as you probably just heard in that little clip, I say there's a few scratches on it, and there's a clear picture of the scratches. So I tend to be really honest. And then you get 5-star reviews from everybody. Everybody loves me as a seller. People hate me as a buyer. I'm a total bastard when it comes to buying things. If I'm trying to buy something off you, you'll hate me. But if I'm selling it to you, you'll think I'm a wonderful person.
Do you ever consider other platforms besides eBay?
No, just because I'm so familiar with it. I've been flogging on eBay for 25 years, so I know exactly what I'm doing. I know how to negotiate via the site really easily. I know how to get the best prices for things. I know how to buy things cheap on it. So just because, like now, literally while I'm talking to you, I'm publishing the video to go onto this this auction. It's not an auction, it's buy now, but you know what I mean. And I can do that almost without thinking about it. So that's why I don't go anywhere else, because I don't have to think about it on eBay. I just do it, and I can do it. I've said this so many times on the shows. There aren't enough hours in the day for me. Literally, there aren't enough hours. So I have to do multiple things during one time. So while I'm setting up for the show, I'm testing a microphone. While I'm talking to you, I'm listing the microphone on eBay. And that's just purely through lack of time.
Right.
So if I did it on Vinted, for the sake of argument, I'd have to learn Vinted, and I couldn't do that whilst doing the show. Or if I did, I'd make mistakes on the show. And to be frank, I couldn't care less if I make a mistake on eBay and something goes for the wrong price, or I just balls it up somehow. Oh well, it's not the end of the world. I sell a mic that's worth 50 quid for 20 quid. Oh well, that's not the end of the world. But if I balls up my show, I'd be devastated. So my focus has to be on the show primarily, even though I'm doing other things while I'm doing it.
Right. All right. Well, I do unfortunately have a work meeting today, deal with politics and nonsense, so I'm going to have to jump off now. But have a great show today, Nathan. I'm hoping to jump on as soon as this meeting's over, and talk to everybody later.
Cool. Speak to you later. Right, let's get you lot on screen. I also need to share the link, don't I, for Meet? Oh, it's ended. Ugh, that's me chatting and not paying attention to everything all at once. It's a bit like a pilot, when they have the scan. You know what the scan is? Really not. The scan is like the pilot has to continually scan all of his instruments one at a time, over and over and over again. You get into this habit of just checking everything's working as it should. And even when you're doing other things, you should constantly be paying attention to what's going on your instruments. Well, that's kind of me with the show. I have to constantly keep an eye on things, see that everything's functioning correctly. Well, while I was chatting then and listing on something on eBay, my Meet timed out and is now not working. So let's get that sorted out. Invite some people to be in it, more importantly than anything. Turn my camera off so you can't see me in there. There we go. That'll work. How's everyone else in Discord? You all okay? Yes, Nathan, we're all loving it. Oh, I'm glad you're all here.
Got to give us time to get off our mute buttons.
Yes, it is.
It's doing fine. Thank you.
Highly fine, pretty good.
Doing great. First time here.
Jolly good.
So,
We'll go live in about 10 minutes. In the meantime, make yourselves at home.
Charlie, you said your first time here?
yes, sir.
I will say that this morning you got a really good breakdown of everything by, oh shoot, what's his name? He just left for his meeting. Nathan, he was like totally breaking down the whole flat Earth history for the past 10 years or stuff like that, doing a really good job of it. And so
Oh,
I think Charlie got a good breakdown.
What a shame.
Yeah, that really caught me up to speed with everything. Like I said, I'm just learning not about flat Earth, but about the community and stuff like that.
Yeah, I enjoyed listening to that. It was pretty concise and not too emotional, and pretty good breakdown of kind of where we're at today based on where we've been and how we've come up through.
For sure.
Starting with our original conspiracy of like moon landing and stuff like that to where we are today.
I first found out about flat Earth in 2019, 2020, and Nathan's channel was one of the first ones that I discovered. And ever since then, just been a follower.
That's a miracle.
So,
One of the first ones, you're like an anomaly.
yeah, definitely one of the first ones.
Most of us come up through, I came up through Robotham and Carpenter.
How did you find Nathan first?
I think I was looking up like flat Earth debates on YouTube and stuff like that. And I don't know how. This was back in like 2019, 2020. And yeah, I just listening. I mean, obviously he uploads hours of content, and I travel, I commute quite a bit, 2 hours for work. Back then I was, and I just turned it on and it was great. So
Because he's heavily
Nathan's
censored.
really,
He's heavily censored. It's hard to get him.
yeah, for sure. I can tell now for sure more than ever, but back then, or like 2020, it wasn't so bad, I don't think. But I don't know how I discovered Nathan. I did come across a video that explained flat Earth, and then I just, like I said, after that I did I just discovered Nathan's channel, and
Let's just say it was divine.
Be careful of the gurus.
One more time, John.
I was just going to tell him, be careful of the gurus who want to give you explanations. They're everywhere.
yeah, I've just now here recently discovered that. I've been going through different channels and such, and just kind of now I'm figuring out the whole community and how everything's breaking down. I think the other day we were watching Jaren's BS with Professor Dave on the after show, and yeah, like I said, I'm new to this community, and I've always, well, not always known about flat Earth, but since 2020, I've known that it was flat. I just wasn't tuned into like the community, YouTube communities, different channels and stuff like that. So I was just following whoever, and now I'm kind of getting a breakdown of, stuff like that.
I think fortunately for me, I've always had a no guru policy, and one where I would never make someone else a guru that I would rely on. And also I work hard to make sure that someone doesn't turn me into a guru and get all their wisdom and knowledge from an oaf like me. I make sure and disappoint people if they start looking to me to be a guru.
Well, you can't be a guru if you're talking about measurements. They're just facts.
That's true. That's why I love the fact that this is all about the truth of how we measure things, and not about how the pseudoscience and junk like that. You just say, "Hey, vertical and horizontal." Some of my favorite meme is just a vertical line and a horizontal line. One says vertical, one says horizontal, and of course they're perpendicular. Just post that. That's horizontal. That's vertical. Have a good day. No guru necessary.
Well, what you need is some gurus to explain why the vertical and horizontal line could mean Earth is a globe. And then you can get some other flat Earth gurus making up some other dumb shit.
I did have a question yesterday in Discord. I don't think anybody was really there. There was just a few, but I asked, how do we go about our children and teaching them about flat Earth? Is there like a right time, or because they obviously have to go to school and learn about the globe? Um, is is there like a right time to? Because I have a 6-month-year-old daughter, and I'm just thinking about her future, and obviously I want her to know the truth. I'm just afraid that if I expose it to her, or I don't even want to say expose, but tell her the truth. I don't want it to be too soon to where she goes to school and she's being, made fun of, or how do we go about that
I think the best time to
for
do
our
it,
own?
a lot depends on how you're feeling, but if you were to ask me, I'd say the best time would be round about lunchtime, maybe 1:30. Depends how hungry you are.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good to have you all. Now, in the
Good
interest
morning.
of keeping everybody happy, I've had several messages that are saying things that we've been echoing the sentiment of, but I've just now had it put to me directly. One of which was, if there is, quote, no debate, then how are we going to get to see you at your best, which is hammering the living daylights out of globe fundies? Now, that's paraphrasing the email that I got from somebody who'd shared a Dave McKeegan video with me. And I think it was off the back of us saying, well, why should we respond or be reactive to these numpties when they're in our own pond? We offer an open door, and all we get is called cowards for offering an open door? It's like, why would we want to engage with these people when there's plenty of normal people out there who know they're measuring Earth flat? They don't feel the need to apologise for how globe-shaped it isn't when they do so. So with that in mind, I am going to actually go through a full rendition of the housekeeping questions, so everyone's kept familiar with that little glimmer of hope that we offer when we ask people a globe-centric based question based on the defeat thereof when it comes to each of the arguments. So with that being said, any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Malformed question.
It
The
is.
horizon is horizontal. Horizontals do not exist on a globe.
Perfect answer. Absolutely perfect. Yes, it is a malformed question, and yes, you cannot have a horizon on a globe, let alone a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon below the surface level we measure flat, when measuring our eye level parallel with the surface level, which is flat, and our elevation with respect to surface level, perpendicular to a flat plane. So notwithstanding the three ways that we must measure Earth flat, we can't have a horizon on a globe below the surface level that's measured flat. It is indeed a malformed question. Thank you, John. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
also a malformed question.
Yeah, don't you need a globe before you can actually start spinning it and inferring an axis?
Well, you need a plane of reference in which to derive any kind of rotation from. So that defeats the purpose of asking if the ground is spherical.
Correct. That's 2 for 2. Well done, John. Absolutely spot on. If you're going to infer the effect that a globe suggests for its proof of spin, then you're going to infer a Coriolis deflection, which requires a plane of reference to describe the non-inertial plane of reference and the inertial plane of reference that you're going to have an item travelling through appearing to curve from a flat disk spinning in the description. The axis merely runs through the circle to have it rotating about, but it is indeed a flat plane in the description. Now, Coriolis effect's real. If you sit on a roundabout and toss a ball over the top of it, so you've got two people not sat on the roundabout tossing a ball in a straight line, and you're on the roundabout underneath observing the ball, you'll see the ball seem to curve. That's the Coriolis force. The force that makes the ball curve. It's a pseudo force because the ball is not curving. It's moving in a straight line. It only appears to curve as you turn underneath. Therefore, the prerequisite for Coriolis effect to exist is you turning underneath an inertial frame of reference. And if that's the globe, malformed though it is because it requires a planar description on the non-inertial turning reference frame, you would need Earth to be turning underneath aeroplanes, hot air balloons, you if you jump up and down. And we'd notice. We don't. Can you hear that? You and your reference frames are ruined. That's the sound of Simon Dan the clown. Doesn't seem to understand you need two of them. And then you need a flat plane to describe it. Nevertheless, Earth is not rotating. There's no demonstrable proof that there was. And the alleged proof that we have a rotation from a non-inertial turning reference frame alleged to be inaccurately a globe rather than flat surface would require us to notice an effect of not actual deflection. We don't. There isn't. Earth's not turning. I don't have to prove non-positivity, but the suggestion that a positive claim has been proven is suggested with Coriolis, and we do not observe that effect. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Malformed question, given distance is a linear description, and you wouldn't be able to formulate such concepts if the Earth was a globe.
Pretend that you can. It is a malformed question. You're 3 for 3 so far. Yes, absolutely. It is a malformed question. Their inference that we derive a distance in AU comes from a Keplerian motion and Huygens, that's Christian Huygens, description of the sphericity of Venus being described with a radial value derived from a flat surface elevation angle of Earth's flat planar surface when measuring angles from it. Not to it, from it. So therefore you're violating the base measurements that are used to derive a radial value to infer Keplerian orbital motion and then scale it with Christian Huygens transit of Venus when superimposing the radius value derived from a flat plane of Earth onto Venus. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Let me guess. Another malformed question.
Why is that a malformed question?
I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm thinking that John's going to come up with why it's a malformed question.
Any evidence of a
the presupposition.
Go ahead.
The presupposition that Earth has a spherical center is relying on measurements from a flat plane. So I don't know if that one's technically malformed, though.
It's not exactly malformed. It has several violations of principles within the question. So self-perpetuating is included in the question because of the necessity for the molten iron core in a presupposed spherical Earth to be rotating to overcome its excessive temperature, excessive by comparison to the Curie point, which would mean it had no magnetic properties. So not necessarily malformed, but more in violation of the principles in the description, which are part of the question. Any scientific evidence of gravity? That is a malformed question. What's the observed phenomena in terms of gravity? In current rhetoric, it's a bent pseudo-Riemannian geometry. That's a mathematics invented by Einstein. So to ask for scientific evidence of a mathematical pseudo-geometry is malformed. I shouldn't be answering this. Why am I answering my own questions?
I said I wasn't going to do it again.
Well, fair enough. I had to do it. You didn't want to. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Can't have a hypothesis if the ology isn't science.
Correct. So some of the fields in the question are demonstrable pseudosciences. Astrophysics.
Therefore, you can't have a hypothesis.
No. You can observe phenomena in the sky, but astrophysics is a demonstrable pseudoscience. Naming stars and describing them and coming up with just so stories. That's not a science. But many people think it is. That's the main trick that we were all deceived with when we first arrived here. Certainly I was. You're under the misapprehension that the world being spherical is proven with an empirical form of evidence known as science. Science has known we're on a ball for thousands of years, they would say. What are you, a science denier? I, Mick West in one example, am a science communicator. Now look at my earth curve mathematics. Yes, lots of pseudoscientists in pseudoscience fields claiming they've got empirical evidence that has not been through the scientific method. The definition of something that is a claim of science and has not been through the scientific method is pseudoscience. Any evidence?
I think part of the problem is that in the rhetoric of talking about science, we say observable, measurable, testable, repeatable, and they glom onto the observable part. And we observe stars, we observe planets, we observe those lights in the sky, and then they just take it further into speculation. But all we can do is just do measurements. And that's how we know how the cycles of the stars and planets go and how we can navigate and stuff like that. But those all require measurements from the surface of Earth that we're standing on. And since it's observably, testably, measurably flat, then any claims of sphericity of the ground we're standing on are null and void.
Well put. Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Okay, but that one's malformed too.
Yes, it is. I was waiting.
Sorry.
And I was going to say, according to some in the some of the Discord chat, you can if you have an imaginary tangent plane that you invoke.
Well, the word in the question is from. So tangents, conceptual that they are to spheres, not from spheres. You can't measure a tangent from the surface. You're measuring a baseline with respect to the surface, so you're acquiring it from surface level, not to a single point tangential to a globe Earth dangling below the line that you draw out to a single point. You're measuring from the surface if you're measuring an elevation angle. If you're navigating the surface, it's the surface that you're interested in. So one deck sent me an old video by Ruhif where he's saying you can acquire an elevation angle by dangling a plumb and then drawing a 90-degree perpendicular to the plumb line and then taking your elevation angle from said perpendicular, flat, tangential, planar line with respect to the plumb bob. And you're like, well, okay, so are we navigating the plumb bob? Or are we navigating the frickin' surface?
They just need to make that horizontal surface not be the horizontal surface of the Earth. That's why they're hitting so hard on that you can get a horizontal from a plumb line, because they think the plumb line's pointing to the curved Earth. They still need the horizontal, but they have to.
No, a plumb
imaginary.
is with respect to a plane of reference. A plumb is with respect to a plane of reference, not a curve of reference.
Right, that's why they call it a tangent plane.
Again, the plane is what you're measuring from. Their requirement for a tangent point, a single point that has a ball dangling beneath it, leaves them no ability to afford them the measurement from the surface level. Again, what we are actually navigating is the surface when we're requiring elevation angle measurements. And again, if you claim that you can measure from a tangent point, giving you a horizontal plane of reference tangential to a ball, well, where does the termination point lead you to in the navigation process? Well, in the navigation process, you're trying to acquire a GP. That's geographical or ground position. And it's on that straight line. Now, if you're suggesting that we've acquired a tangent from a ball dangling beneath it when acquiring surface level angle measurements, which in itself is extremely malformed, as we've got that as the word of the day, then your ground position isn't on the ground if it's at the end of a tangent line. You've only got a single point that meets your ball face dangling beneath it. Hence, we call this the dingleberry argument, where you've got a ground position at the end of a tangent line with a dangling berry below the point that meets said line that you're measuring from surface level. But then you've got a ground position out in the middle of outer space. Speaking of which, any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Yes, that one's malformed since pressure requires a container in the first place.
Yeah, all of these questions are malformed, and as I've been writing the book recently, it's becoming more and more apparent to me that the only purpose of these questions is to give our globe-believing brethren hope. It offers them, with malformed questions, the ability to think that there might be some solution that involves a globe. There isn't, but that's all we're doing with these housekeeping questions. In my humble opinion, they are only serving our opponents. They're not serving us. I mean, yes, they keep us abreast of how these arguments, if you want to call them that, have come and gone throughout the time that Flat Earth debate's been running. But realistically, they're just serving our opponents and giving them a vain sense that there may be hope that the globe can still function with answers to these questions. But there aren't answers to them because most of them, as John's been pointing out for the whole of the show, they're malformed when you actually break down what we're asking.
Hi, Nathan.
Hello.
It might be worth. You got the housekeeping questions which served its purpose and is still good to sort of go over. But you could. I don't know what you could do something else, maybe like housekeeping facts or and then just go over some points that we talk about. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? Point out the how is latitude measured? This is the facts of how latitude is measured. Or something like that. The terms and terminology that we're using now, and put them into not necessarily a question, but a statement of fact, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Everything's a possibility at the moment. Lots of things are in flux. Lots of things may change as time progresses.
They were important when we thought there was a freaking debate. There is no debate. And didn't we use them to draw out the ballers?
Yeah, whereas now we're of the opinion that, well, why would we need to offer these people hope? If you want to believe you're on a stupid ball, then feel free. Any evidence you can have pitch data on a globe?
Negative. And the only people that actually still want the housekeeping questions are people that still want to argue over a globe. They want to
Exactly.
use globe debunkings.
Well, pitch is in reference to horizontal, isn't it? You can't work out a pitch value from curved. It's from a horizontal reference plane, the pitch above it or below it. So it's a malformed question. Again, you can't acquire pitch data from a globe. No. It can be acquired from a horizontal base reference only.
It is required from horizontal.
In the case of a straight and level flight, it's pitched above sea level. So again, it's level.
Oh dear.
It's not
There goes
pitched above
that
sea
word
level.
again.
No, it's pitched above horizontal. So you're acquiring a horizontal with instruments and tools like gyroscopes. So you're trying to remain pitch up with respect to the horizontal. Your flight itself is at a flight level measured from the sea level. So that's altitude in the pitch data, which it does show on the graphs and measurements from the black boxes, that we're measuring our height with respect to the surface level, parallel with it. But the pitch itself is not with respect to sea level, it's with respect to horizontal. You pitch up with respect to horizontal. Now, in emergency situations, you might use the horizon out the window to establish that horizontal. But for the most part, the tools and instrumentation aren't referencing necessarily sea level. They're measuring with respect to the chord line of the wing above the horizontal.
Right.
So it's like that
given
then.
the
So,
level,
sorry, John.
I was just going to say, level is just how we experience horizontal. It's first person view of horizontal. So that seems a bit nitpicky, you know.
Plus, like that housekeeping question there, you could make a statement of fact to say pitch level, pitch data, from a flight data, however you want to word it, can only be obtained from horizontal. A statement of fact.
Yes, that's correct. You need to be able to establish and maintain a reference for horizontal so that your wing chord line can remain a couple of degrees above it in straight and level flight. Now, even as I'm saying it, the description itself requires a flat earth. So it's like to say, well, in order to prove a flat earth, we need this flat earth axiom to hold true when a tool uses the flat earth axiom to establish a horizontal for your wing line to be above that horizontal. It's like we've got 3 flat earth axioms just in the description to defy the claim that there's a ball somewhere in that process. No, none of the description is ball shaped ever. In fact, quite the contrary.
Yeah.
You require axiomatically to have a flat plane of reference to describe any of these principles of flight.
It's stupid of us to ask that question.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm coming to the conclusion of. As we're asking these questions, all we're doing is providing hope to the opponents. Maybe there's a way we can explain pitch data with respect to a globe. Well, you maybe can believe that, but you can't. It's measured flat. Did I do them all? Is that all the housekeeping questions? Did I miss any out? I don't think so. I think I covered them all. Marvellous. Right, that's it. Thank you for watching. I'm going home. For whatever reason in the pre-show, one of the participants was going through the history of 10 years of flat earth debating. It'd be 11 years coming up, wouldn't it? I'll lose track. But for a newbie that was in the chat, there was an unrecorded section just before I joined where, like I say, the concise history of where we're at and why we're here was given.
Who gave it to him?
I can't remember the guy's name. He's disappeared now. He's got a name that we regularly see go by in the chat, and we welcomed him the other day because he'd been in for the first time. I just can't remember his name. because he goes by a different name in Discord.
Oh, what was he saying?
It's just breaking down the history for somebody who was new that was in there. Going from
How did
debating
he?
things
Sorry.
like Earth curvature at a distance that's measured on a flat Earth to just saying, well, the distance is measured on a flat Earth, so who cares?
He was going into a bit of his own history and stuff like that, and kind of the different big characters, the Witsits and Gerons and things like that, and what's gone on in the past 10 years from them being Bitcoin shills to, well, Jaron being Bitcoin shill to being flat earther to now being Glober. Things like that.
I was thinking,
what a
Just go-
freaking cycle that is.
Yeah,
just on that though, I was
it
thinking
it
about
was-
this.
he did it really well and articulately. Darn it if I forgot his name. He's got kind of a chicken icon on the Discord in here, and he did. I just wanted to tell him he did a really good job and was articulate and pretty much laid it out fairly into what the space is out here.
What?
And it was good.
Was it Divergent Droid?
No.
What I was
No.
thinking though the other day was regarding what you're talking about now, the housekeeping questions and all that. I was thinking to myself, if you was new to this, like that gentleman you've been speaking to, I missed it. I don't know. I wasn't in there. I've only just jumped in, sort of thing. Just as a human being or somebody coming into this, do you think you need to have to go through a process of things to get to the point that we're at now, or could you? Or can you just sit someone down and say, well, forget all that. This is, an elevation angle, and this is how you measure latitude. It's horizontal, sea level. The Earth's flat. You don't need to go in. Or do you think they have to go through a process to get here?
I think it's the former. I don't think you have to go through a process. So, for many years when I've been out, I've said this, and Neil gets a bit uppity with me when I say it. I don't necessarily feel compelled to tell the people around me about flat Earth. If I'm in a home education class with one of my kids, I don't feel compelled to tell the teacher that we're not on a ball. Yeah, that never really, I've never felt compelled to do so. However, I've always pondered, well, what would I say if somebody asks the question, well, what do you do? And up until now, what I say as a response is, I have a YouTube channel, and they go, well, that's interesting, what do you cover? Cosmology is the one-word answer I give them. Because normally in that one word, most people don't fully appreciate what cosmology is, and most people, I don't know why this is, but this is true in my experience, don't want to seem stupid by saying, what does that word mean? Most people don't want to ask that question. What does that word mean? People don't like saying that. So cosmology is a great word for me to say, that's what I cover on the YouTube channel. Because then they go, you mean the like stars and stuff? If they've got a vague idea what it means, they'll go, the stars and stuff. And you go, yeah. They go, oh, right. And then they think, am I interested in the stars? And 99 times out of 100, they're not. So they go, all right, that's fascinating. Wonderful. How long have you been doing that? About 10 years. All right, that's lovely. And that's where the conversation ends. Whereas if I say, I run a debate about Earth being flat, you can hear the laugh. Right, there's a very different reaction. Now, today, I would have a different answer. So if someone says, what do you do? I'd say I cover cosmology, cartography, and how Earth is measured flat. As a more whole answer. Because if someone says, what do you mean Earth's measured flat? So exactly what I say. Earth is measured flat in all circumstances. And then if they go, well, isn't it a big ball? I'd go, no, it's measured flat like I just said. Would you like a few examples? And then I can rattle them off without any need to explain what I formerly thought we would have to do as flat earthers, which is explain why we're not on a ball. Now, how I was brainwashed into this mentality where a flat earther has the compunction to describe why we're not on something is beyond me. I don't know how we were brainwashed into that belief. But we were. For many years, we thought a flat earther was somebody who told you how you're not on a ball.
I'm glad you're catching up, because I've been saying this for at least 2 years now, that we could spare everybody going through the stuff and nonsense that we went through. Why do we have to deal with that? We just tell them the facts of how it's measured and move on from there.
And I'm glad you're pointing out to just how effective the brainwashing has been.
Yeah, we were introduced to Flat Earth as conspiracy theorists. Now, I'm, like most people, on this path that brought us here from a conspiratorial route. Me, it was subliminal messaging and psychopathy. But on that route, we were furrowed, if the right word is furrowed, foraged, whatever the word is, down lots of different conspiratorial rabbit holes. So as a flat earther, one of the first things I was asked, first interview that I did with a guy called Fake Spacemen in Space, and he said, I'm a no-planer. I'm like, what's that mean? He went, well, on 9/11, do you think there were any planes? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, I don't think there was any planes at all. I think it was all CGI. I'm like, I had no interest in 9/11, and I still don't, to be perfectly honest. But I'm suddenly, as a flat earther, being told that the counterpart on the other side of the computer screen to me, talking about the subject of flat earth, how we've just found it out, is a no-plane guy. Why? Well, because that's what we're destined to talk about as flat earthers. How there's potentially no planes on 9/11, and it's all CGI. I'm like, okay. I thought I was here to talk about flat earth. But suddenly I'm talking about Mandela effect and whether or not C-3PO's got a silver leg, whether or not Dolly had braces, and whether or not Taylor Swift's a clone. I'm like, is this really what we're here to talk about? This is annoying. Now, if you're on the other side of the pond, same pond, you're told, here's the Earth curve calculator. Learn how this works. So you can tell flat earthers how the distance, don't mention that's a flat earth measurement, is to a geometric horizon below the surface level. Don't mention the surface level. Don't mention the eye level. But just mention that there's a geometric horizon. It's marked with an X and labelled horizon in this orthographic mathematics. Learn it and learn it well. And then when you come across a flat earther, you're the one with maths. That basically makes you a scientist. And then you can ask them if they're a science denier. We're all brainwashed.
You shouldn't be able to see that.
My point, just to round this out, is that we were brainwashed into being conspiratards, and our anti-flat earth brethren were brainwashed into using mathematics so that they could sniff their own farts and make themselves seem intellectual. But they were just as deluded and brainwashed and forced into a certain path as we were. It's just they're different paths, different strokes for different folks. But we're all still brainwashed, or were.
See, I was the opposite way. My brother told me about flat earth, and then I got into conspiracies because that's where I was funneled. So it's done deliberately. We know that.
Neil, you said it really, really well the other week. Did you write it down, that?
Not yet, but I should, the way Nathan butchered it the other day, right? I was like, did I say that? Thank God it's a guy named Noel.
I remember when you said it, I said, write that down, because it fell out your mouth really well. It rolled off your tongue.
I actually know what show it's on, so I could just go back and get it.
Yeah, do that.
How you doing, guys? Just go on here, just to add a few words. When it comes to like conspiracies, it's the fact that conspiracies happen, and if you're interested in conspiracies because you want to investigate them, that doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist, because what you're studying are the conspiracies that actually happen. So conspiracy realist would be more appropriate, I would say, or someone who's interested in conspiracies. You're not a theorist, because the things you are studying have actually happened to be true, and people have conspired to do
validate that.
Yeah, right. And then when it comes to like 9/11, I'm very interested in 9/11. the justice hasn't been served to those who have died. So that's quite shocking, disappointing, and rather, inhumane. To know that that can happen in a country, you could have been there in a building because you were a tourist, for example, and this is what would be the end result. Very interested in that because it shows the kind of world we are living in. That's very interesting for me as a human being. And the other thing about it's measured flat, that's all very well and done. It is. But sometimes that may not be enough for somebody. I've been in this for 10 years. I've learned a lot of methods and a lot of facts that are useful that I'm always going to be prepared to use to make sure that the individual who I'm talking to gets to that understanding that the earth is measured flat. One route is not always enough. There are many routes. And I'm that man who will be taking those routes. I don't care how long it takes to get one individual to understand. I'm prepared to spend that time. That's me, Jin CBR1, and I will always be in that frame of mind for that every day I breathe air. There is nobody on this earth that will change that position. You can take the quick route, or you can take the route that goes around the house.
Will it ever
end? For me, that's fine.
Ever end?
Thank you very much.
We got it. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, if you're a baker and you tell somebody who's in the queue for the bread that the bread's made with flour, and then the guy behind goes, that's just not enough for some people. Some people need more. Telling them that it's made of flour, they might not get that. What's the baker going to do?
The baker will show the flour and show the process of making the bread if he wants. He or she.
And will he show them? Will he show them a roast chicken and say it's not made of this?
He will say it's made of flour. If the person doesn't know what flour is, he will show them the flour. That's what he's told them. It's not going to show them roast chicken. Roast chicken is not flour.
Right, and
if he has
globe earth is not.
And he has to do that.
I'm leading you, Jin.
That's okay
Jin, not the other way. Jin, I'm leading you for bloody hellfire. I'm leading you, not the other way round. Yeah, in this example, the roast chicken is the globe earth. If it's not made of roast chicken, then you don't need to point out that it's not made of something. And if it's not globe-shaped, I don't need to point out how not globe-shaped it is.
That'd be you. I might have to do that because the individual I'm talking to may not get that. Okay? There are many roads to the truth. One road is one road. That's what I'm telling you. There's not just one road. So the more you flog that kind of philosophy, I'm going to remind you of that. Because I'm the man who's... And I'm not having any complaints.
Yeah, you are. I'm complaining literally now. What are you talking about? I'm the one complaining.
Well, I'm complaining that your man that only one is enough. I don't like that philosophy. That's not my idea.
Jin, what we're saying is, if we can avoid people going down the nonsense roads that we went down, we're going to avoid that by explaining to them the facts of the matter. Not the conspiracies that led us here or this, that, and the other thing. We're going to show them beyond the shadow of a doubt how Earth is measured flat. Now, if they don't get it, then, oh, well.
I'll elaborate a bit more, I will. That's what I always do. And it's not, and it wasn't a silly argument. The common sense ones, the ones that show them how it is possible to be living on a globe. And, and I use all those methods, and I've gotten results all the time. That's what keeps me interested in this. Love it. Many roads. It's not just one road. But top answer. It's measured flat. Common sense, logic. Some people don't get that, so you've got to go through other routes to help them along. Nothing wrong with that. You don't have that patience, or you don't want to do that. Just want to keep saying it's measured flat. That's fine. I like to elaborate a bit more. That's all.
Yeah, I was talking with Jin yesterday, and he got it across to me that it's not that he's showing them that, look, there's no curvature by bringing them to a globe. The globe is in their imagination, and he's trying to break that thought in their mind that they're living on a globe by showing them a photograph or a long distance observation. It takes that thing, that curvature, that sphere that they got in their mind and shatters it along with the measurements. Am I right, Jin?
That is absolutely correct, Neil, because you're showing them flat Earth measurements as the curvature disappears, because it's not even there. It was never there. Then you back it up with strong English words like that, you know. It was never there. It was an illusion. It was a deception.
But it was in their
You
mind.
never lived on a globe. Powerful words.
Yeah, but
Shake them good.
But it's in everybody's mind because that's what we were taught in the education system, in the schooling. This is what we were taught. So it is a stronghold, and it is in a lot of people's minds. But that's why I feel if you take them right to measurements, that will shatter that brainwashing.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's correct. It would open them up to thinking, what do you mean? And then you elaborate that and you show them people who have painstakingly taken time out of their lives to prove to themselves and us, all of us, that, look, this is the distance measured. I can see that object down there. It shouldn't be there, but I can see it. Well, when I say it shouldn't be, it's there, but I shouldn't be able to see it from this distance if I'm living on the supposed globe. And I'm not, because the curvature is not there. I'm able to see this at this distance, measured, flat. Nothing wrong with the explanation. That the person is seeing visuals. That you invite the person and you say to them, you can actually go to this particular location. They run tours because of this observation. So you can take a tour guide, go there, watch this, see it for yourself for real. Yeah, no, you know, there's many roads. Measured flat is correct, absolutely spot on. That's where you go to first. Great. But then some people may not get that. You may need to elaborate. And I'm very happy to do that. That's all I'm saying. It's not giving them the globe at all. You're still taking away the globe from them because you're saying to them that you do not live on a globe. You don't. It's flat. This is why.
Hey, Neil, do you remember the analogy that I gave yesterday of unicorn eggs? It's a very good time to repeat it.
Well, I saw that as a straw man and stupidity, really, because straw eggs don't exist.
So let me present it now.
Rainbow eggs don't exist.
Okay, so let me present it now.
So I wouldn't be looking at, like I said, I wouldn't be looking at your egg. I'd ask you to go and make me a curry and that, rather than look at your egg, you know? Silly thing to do, really.
Well, we got to give him a chance. But
let's hear it anyway. Okay, go ahead, Arthur. Let's hear it.
Okay, so someone comes and gives you a rainbow-colored egg and tells you that it's a unicorn egg. And what you go on to do is actually test the egg, see whether the paint peels off, see whether it is actually a chicken egg or some other egg, maybe do a DNA test. And you go on that spree of refuting the claim made by the person instead of flat out pointing out, what unicorns, man? What are you talking about? Unicorns don't exist. So that's the analogy I gave.
Yeah, but it's not a good one because I know that unicorns don't exist, first of all. So it's a silly one, really, because I wouldn't give it one iota. I wasn't indoctrinated that unicorns exist. You see, but the globe was the actual.
There you go, Jin.
The globe was the actual the indoctrination. That's the actuality of it. So the actuality of that is people have been indoctrinated and are being indoctrinated every day of the week, even whilst we're speaking right now. So basically, that's the problem there, not the unicorn egg. When someone says to me, "There's a unicorn egg," like I said, I wouldn't even look at the thing, would I?
So I don't think I need to delineate what exactly those things were supposed to mean. Unicorn existing is the globe Earth existing, and unicorn eggs are NASA images and ISS videos in which you try to find glitches in order to prove that the globe does not exist.
It's been heavily indoctrinated to people, ingrained for years. You're talking years of indoctrination that you're now trying to undo for this individual. Now, it's measured flat. It's perfectly correct, as I keep saying. But sometimes that is not enough for some people, right? It's just not enough. And you might have to elaborate a bit more. And I'm prepared to do that. That's all. Nothing wrong with that.
Then it turns out to be a good analogy and definitely not a straw man then.
Well, no, it's still not good, because nobody's indoctrinated to the point where they're getting to see a rainbowed egg. Come on. It's not silly.
Yeah, he's not listening to Jin. We've been indoctrinated with the globe, not with unicorns.
Yes,
Understand the total analogy, but people are indoctrinated with the globe. So there is a globe in everybody's imagination from the time they could freaking probably crawl. And that's what he's trying to break by taking them to measurements first and then showing them long distance observations. Now you've laid down that Earth is measured flat, and you've now shown them a long distance observation that cancels out any globe that they may have in their mind.
Then maybe a week or two down the line, when they've actually got it in their head, then you can start to explain to them the industries that are using the Earth flats now, because their indoctrination is beginning to wear off of them now. They're starting to become aware of the fact, and then you can help them along by introducing. Some people don't get it on the first 1 hour, 2 hour. It's flat, and they don't get it like that. That's always been my experience. I've never met anybody who gets it like that instantly.
Do you even understand what analogy means? It is not real.
I'm surprised you would ask that question, to be quite honest.
I'm surprised that you are telling me that people are not indoctrinated with
not with a unicorn.
Clearly, it was an analogy. It was an example I gave you to make the point clear.
It was a poor one.
Clear parallels in the globe world.
Poor one. It didn't stop me, but it's not changed my position, has it? I'm still going to carry on. It's a poor analogy.
At least I tried.
Guys, I think it stems back to the question I asked earlier, and I think Nathan was that was like when we were talking about the housekeeping questions. Like, do some people need to go through this to get to this level? Pardon the puns.
Correct.
I don't know. That was just a question. I mean, because I've been through that process. All of us on here have been through the process. Now we're saying, how's it going to work for a newbie? Not going through the process? Are some people going to just get it straight away, or do they have to go through the rigmarole and what we're pointing out now, arguing about how far we should or shouldn't see and other nonsense that we talk about? But maybe they
it's not nonsense, is it? Hang on, Rundeck. It's not nonsense, is it? You're talking about measured distance there. That's not a nonsense, is it?
No, I mean, when we talk about how far we should see something, because, according to the globe measurements, which was measured from a horizontal surface parallel to eye level.
Right. Some people are not aware of that. You see, this is why you help them along. So, again, it's not a nonsense. And I think, like I said before, the housekeeping questions established a brilliant standard for this Nathan Oakley's Flat Earth Debate show. Brilliant standard, and I think that should be kept, because new people are going to come in, and I think, for me, if it was me doing this, I want them to experience those questions. So because these new people, some people don't get it, but you're upholding a standard. It's not watering down your
but Jim,
lowering your standards.
Hold on 1 second, Jim. We're at a position now in Flat Earth Debate where there's a lot of people still like to just debunk the globe. That's the beginning. We started with debunking the globe. Now we have the silver bullet. And the silver bullet is measurements, because measurements cannot be denied. It's a fact of the matter. Refracted says it all the time. To measure something is to know something. That's a truth. That's a fact. It's indisputable.
Just bear with me a second. A.E. Mir, can you just pop yourself on mute? I've had to server mute you because you're crapping at my live show. Thank you.
I apologize.
Aries.
So it's just that a lot of people still like to debunk the globe. To me, it just keeps the rhetoric alive, keeps the ballers alive.
No, for me, it destroys the globe, but in some cases, slowly. Those who are adamant and they're being obnoxious and rude, they get it violently from me. They'll get it the rough way. Those who are genuinely confused, then you're gentle, walking on eggshells, if you will, or crisps. So you take it gently, easy does it, and ease them into the reality of it all. Okay, there's many methods you're going to use.
Is that unicorn eggshells?
It's varied, and individuals are varied all over the place. So it depends on the individual, the method, and the way you're going to deliver this, and the amount of time you're going to spend to deliver this truth. Okay.
Just going back to the housekeeping questions, like we said during the housekeeping questions, when we were saying maybe do some factual, maybe when we go through the housekeeping questions, answer it, as we previously would have done, and then say, but now this is the way of looking at it as well. Like for the pitch data example, it's an impossibility, rather than saying, well, can you get a pitch data? Well, we're asking, can you get pitch data from a curved surface? Well, no, you can't. So why would you ask that? And then explain what pitch data is on the aeroplane. What like Nathan went through, it uses instruments to, determine a horizontal reference plane that it's flying over, and then it can pitch up to that and to remain in straight and level flight. So I don't know. We could do something there with that to give go through the housekeeping questions a little bit more in detail.
But if you think of what you just said, how do you have pitch data on a globe? People think they're flying over a globe every day. You go to any airport, and those people think they're flying over a globe.
Well, right, okay, we're going to go to
done with the...
I'm going to go to you in a second, though, Tanks. Just a quick shout out to Himsake, who says, my bad super chat. Okay, fair enough. I don't really know what you mean, but thank you very much for the super chat. Also, shout out to Sensual Goat, who says, Jin's approach seems more suitable for pub talk. Nathan's approach is best for hostile pond we're in. Well, yeah. Different strokes for different folks. Go ahead. Who's it in Discord?
I was just going to ask Neil. Is Neil? Are you kind of leaning that towards the idea that we should throw away the infamous black swan long distance observation as an argument?
When did I say that? It's not an argument. It's just an observation. That observation is off a flat plane.
Neil did not. But over the last 6 months, I have hinted at that more and more because it sits in the category of we see too far, doesn't it? Well spotted, no thanks.
It does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Now, maybe you've been picking up what I've been putting down for the last 6 months, but yes, it's akin to the same thing I said in the intro. We're offering our opponents hope when we start begging the question on their behalf. Now, it's not like Quantum Eraser didn't disclose that fact. He said it was like one last time for old time's sake, where we'll allow the begging the question of if the Earth's a sphere in the modus tollens. So it's not like it was made unclear that was the case. But as time progresses, you go, well, why would we be doing that? It almost feels unfair to our opponents to torture them in that way.
Are we not talking about measurements with the black swan?
Exactly.
No, we're not.
Well said, Neil.
No, we're not. We're talking about if the Earth was a sphere with a geometric horizon and a radius value, a set value.
Hold on a second.
Measurements.
But in reality, we're talking about the distances of 2 oil rigs to show.
Horizon.
Yeah.
And how do we measure?
And the horizon behind it.
And how do we
measure?
Those
all need measurements.
And how do we measure the distance to the oil rigs?
Measure them on a flat plane.
Yeah.
Right.
Linear.
So to have the modus tollens argument.
That's my point.
So to have the modus tollens argument, we first have to measure something, the Earth's surface for the distance to the oil rigs, and we measure it flat. Point. Who's talking through me? Second bloody attempt. To measure the Earth, we must acquire a distance to the oil rigs, flat, linear, and horizontal. At which point, why do I need to say if Earth's a sphere with a radius of 3959, then every flat Earth measured distance to horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, and the distance to the geometric physical horizon that's below the surface level, measured flat in the maths, is beyond the distance at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Why would I need to do that? I'm introducing a complexity that takes a flat Earth measurement, ignores it, and then debunks it.
So I guess I am on that side, because that's what I'm saying. Exactly what you said. That's what I mean. We're using flat Earth measurements for everything. So when people bring up the black swan, you bring up that they're flat Earth measurements. Thank you.
Yeah. Whilst dismantling, whilst dismantling the globe. at the same time, because that's what you're doing. You are proving that the Earth isn't a globe.
No,
that's what you're doing.
You're not. You're building it first. You're saying if Earth was a globe, that's the first statement in the modus tollens. You first got to build the globe to then knock it down. And I don't agree. I know we're gonna thrash this out for months. I can just sense it, Jin. But regardless of your old school approach to this, I will maintain that all roads lead to a flat Earth. Or another way is you said, oh, well, there's many different roads. No, there's only one. And all of them are flat Earth when you get far enough down that road. They're all culminating at the same flat Earth T-junction or whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah, you're making it misrepresenting what I'm saying. When I'm saying there's many roads, there are many routes, if you will, roads, explanations to the flat Earth. That's what I'm saying when I say there's many roads. It's not just one explanation. There's many explanations, and all of them are brilliant because they dismantle the globe. And the preface, if you think you are living on the globe, this is how you are not living on the globe. Pay attention. You who do not know the model anyway. Yeah, sometimes you've got to take that route. Sometimes, not every time. Sometimes you've got to take that route.
Not disputing. I'm just saying, just pointing out, like, not to you personally, but yeah, the many explanations of a flat Earth. It's a measurement. So I mean, one great example is how latitude's measured. It's a measurement. There's just different ways to measure. You can use sea level and Polaris to get latitude, 60 nautical miles per degree. You know, when we're using the sea sextant, we're using sea level again. Between 2 points on the sea level to get that radius for circle of equal altitude. It's always a measurement.
And the show comes a whole circle with this part, because if you remember, this guy, Charlie Handsome, who was on Discord, said that he came here for the first time, and while asking us about flat Earth, refracted curvature, John just gave him a very wise advice that stay clear of what explanations that many with the label of flat Earth will come to them and give their own explanations for things. So it comes a whole circle almost an hour into the show. Nice ending.
It still remains that there are many people out there who don't get it when you tell them it's measured flat. You may need to elaborate, and there's nothing wrong with elaborating using the knowledge we've acquired over 10 years, with the material that we've acquired over 10 years from people who have gone out there painstakingly doing it, even including yourselves. So I'll be using all that material. That's me.
What else are we going to do with our advanced heliocentric knowledge? Except flaunt it.
Yeah, but
use it in the way you should use it, like a counselor uses his skills to try and help somebody who's mentally disordered.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it?
This is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's it. You go ahead, Bondek. I suspect you're going to say the same thing. Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, if you're trying to help somebody who's got the interest, you made me spend that time with them going through the Black Swan, and who's really interested. But when you're dealing with an anti-flat earther or a glober, there's no point with that. You just tell them it's measured flat, latitudes, that's the navigation. They know they're talking nonsense, and you're just pointing out that they are talking nonsense. But somebody legitimate, like a family member who's coming into it, and you can nurse them and bring them into it and go down them paths. I agree with that approach to that type of person.
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, the likes of those who are anti-flat earthers who are very clever and very witty. Well, of course, measured flat is enough, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to waste time with them because they know it's flat. You know they know it's flat. So, yeah, that's fine. That's what I mean. I'm talking about the ordinary Sue blog and Joe blog on the road.
Let me ask the question. If you're debunking a globe, are you proving that the Earth is flat?
I'm proving the Earth is flat, which actually debunks the globe. That's what we're doing.
That's not what he asked. If you're debunking the globe...
Well, that's what I do.
Just hear the question again. If you are debunking the globe, are you proving it is flat? That's the question.
Yeah. Well, if the Earth isn't a globe, this isn't curving, what is it, ladies and gentlemen?
I mean, In that situation, or in many situations, it's just a matter of kicking it off, because most people, they're already brainwashed and they're not interested. So it's a great way to just to get them, to get the ball rolling, just to get them to spend a thought or two. And when they realize that they're dealing with a contradiction, then maybe that could interest them. But the proof,
my question still ain't gonna answer.
But
good question, Neil.
try this one. This is really funny. You take a globe, one of those models, and you put it upside down. You show it to them upside down, and they say, "Oh, you're holding it upside down." It's like.
Let me ask the question again. When you debunk a globe, are you proving the Earth's flat? Yes or no?
Depending on the method you use, I would say yes, you are, because you're needing flats to debunk the globe. You need flats to debunk the globe. You can't debunk it without it. Bloody hell.
You've got it all backwards. You need flat to create the globe. So what we're doing is creating a globe with flat Earth measurements, and then, after ignoring the fact that to create the globe, to have it believed in the mind's eye of the person you're discussing it with, then taking it apart and debunking it. But when you're doing it, in answer to Neil's question, when you take apart the globe you just created with flat Earth prerequisites and elevation angles and measurements off surface level, to then debunk it and show how it doesn't work, you're not proving it's flat. What proves it's flat is the measurements used in the first place to create the globe to debunk the globe. But you whistle past them and then don't point out that it's flat to create the ball to believe in to then debunk it. That doesn't prove it's flat. That proves it's not something. And you don't need to prove something isn't something else. That's not necessary. You don't have to prove non-positivity. It's incumbent on the person making the positive assertion to prove their positive claim. With that, though, I'm going to actually play a little bit of this video. This is Al Baruhif explaining how we use elevation angle measurements with respect to a flat planar surface when we measure Earth flat.
Elevation angles measured relative to a flat Earth. You can measure elevation angles on a flat Earth. Elevation angles are measured relative to a horizontal plane, and that horizontal plane is the surface. A horizontal plane is just a plane that's perpendicular to down. I require a flat Earth to establish a horizontal plane at right angles to it. I require a flat Earth to measure an elevation angle.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
With the fact in their mind that they live on a globe, that they are the third rock from the sun.
It's a constant bombardment daily, every day of the week, every week of the month, every month of the year. Most people are getting bombarded with this stuff. So it's out there now that the Earth is a globe. So yeah, like I said, I'm always going to employ all of the psychologies that I've learned through those 10 years. I'm going to employ every single one.
People are getting on airplanes right now and they think they're flying over a globe or around the globe.
They're looking at monitors that's depicting the globe as they're flying over a curved trajectory when it's a horizontal trajectory all the way, with the nose up 3 degrees from horizontal. But there you are. They don't know all that.
That's why you hit them with pitch data and you hit them with freaking how Earth is measured flat.
Yeah,
and that'll destroy the globe in their mind.
Yeah. Because it is a fact that, that's without a doubt that the Earth is measured flat. There's no doubt about that. But some people don't seem to get that immediately then, and you might have to elaborate, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Because we're trying to help the flat Earth at the end of the day, especially if they're interested. If they just want to hurl abuse at you, well, then it's up to you how you approach that. You either ignore them, or like me, you brawl with them, and I like that. So I get in there with them. I say, yeah, well, this is what I think about your globe and how pathetic it is, blah, 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 I like to do that. It's okay. Some people I get results that way as well. It's up to the individual here.
I like to go, I've said it before, I've said it many times, I like to give them the globe-proof evidence and then point out how it's not globe-proof evidence, like Al Baruhif or Eratosthenes.
Yeah.
Go through that with them. Like I said to you, I'd like to do that at a school environment myself, and just go through the angles that were measured on the surface of Earth using vertical poles and horizontal shadows.
Yeah,
and then
because
when you get to the point of the
Sorry, one deck. You carry on.
Yeah. That's all right. Yeah. I'm just repeating what I always say. Yeah. So you just take any globe evidence is flat Earth evidence. Every one of them.
Yeah, and that I hope one day in the future.
Okay, so one deck. So what about ships disappearing over the horizon?
Horizon.
Yeah.
Well, when you say horizon has never been defined as a physical location. What are you talking about?
Okay, so we don't need to really invoke the curvature of the Earth.
No, it goes beyond the horizon.
No. What you're fishing for, I suspect, is when somebody says, well, what about boats going over the horizon? You go, well, when somebody asserts that boats go over a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon, the distance that they infer is a flat Earth linear horizontal distance measurement. So in order to suggest that we've got an Earth curve, we must first measure Earth flat for the distance to plug it into an Earth curve maths that has a geometric horizon below the surface level. Now, that does fall in line with Jin's rhetoric, but just in a very different way. That's to say, if I'm being led by my opponent suggesting that there's a sphere edge for a horizon that proves a sphere, then I can take their, as one deck points out, measurement used in their assertion and point out where their measurement requires Earth be flat. Now, if you're saying, well, they just don't get it, well, for them to make such an assertion, they must understand that there's a distance measurement. And if they understand that there's a distance measurement, they can understand that Earth's being measured flat for their distance measurement, Jin.
Okay, so there's no need to bring up refraction and allow them refraction, maybe not 10%, but just 7%, which I was hearing a few days ago from Jin. No need to do that, you are telling me.
Distance measurements on a flat Earth, at which point you've measured a flat Earth. If you say, well, if I measure a flat Earth and the surface level for a point below the surface level that's physical and geometric, but actually not physical, not geometric, but in fact refracted, we're now 3 steps down the line of a begging the question fallacy that started with a flat Earth distance measurement.
And just to reiterate, the horizon has never, ever, ever been defined as a physical location. So we don't need to talk about any such thing.
But once again, you may have to, if the person is sincerely asking, because, they're confused. You understand, and they don't get it. You may have to explain it. They may bring it up. You'll know your answers, and you'll give your answers because the individual is still confused. You're going to have to be prepared to elaborate, even though you don't have to, yes. But the individual that you may be talking to may take the conversation down that route. If it's like you say, the anti-flat earthers, then you don't have to go down that route. But with somebody who's into it for the first time and they're trying to get to understand it, you may have to explain why that is not possible. Or you understand? You've got to. There's no getting out of it. Really.
How did the guy who was in earlier pre-show, I wasn't here, when you was discussing, how did he take it, the information? I don't know what information you gave him, whether you went straight for the elevation angle measurements or you was discussing other things with him. But how was he? Or is he gone?
Yes, sir, Daddy. How was he? You were there. How was he coming into the argument? Was he coming in through all of the nonsense, or was he coming in at measurements?
He was the new guy. Well, he's here, Charlie. He could tell you how it went.
He's here. Let him
Basically,
answer for himself then.
Yeah, Charlie was coming in as a flat earther. So, the guy that was here that had to leave. Oh no, he's there. Flat Earth Cafe, dude. Can you talk?
It's cool, Flat Earth Cafe. Come in, man.
Flat Earth Cafe, calling Flat Earth Cafe.
Hello, gentlemen. I just was able to bring back from the work meeting.
Okay, awesome. Well, we were just, I was just giving kudos to your narrative this morning and the storyline and talking about flat Earth and stuff like that. And so you just gave everything, the history of our community and stuff like that. It wasn't a flat Earth argument, and you were discussing with Charlie Handsome, and so that your conversation this morning doesn't apply to what we're talking about now, which is
No, I'm asking Charlie, the new guy, the handsome guy, how he came into the topic. Did he come through the Feast of Nonsense, or did he come in through measurements?
Yeah. How do you know for 100% without any doubt that the Earth is flat? How did you come to that fact? Oh, you're not there yet.
Calling Charlie Handsome. Come in, Charlie Handsome. He might not be able to speak.
I can tell you, gentlemen, I spoke to him this morning, and he said he would have to kind of put in his earbuds at work, and he might not be able to contribute.
Not to worry.
All right, well, since you laid it out for him, the whole history of it, where do you feel he came in from?
Yes, can you make it about 10 minutes long? I've got to go and pick something up.
Yeah, I can only tell you from memory, he had mentioned he came in right around 2020, coming off kind of the whole, vaccine type arguments and things of that nature.
So he's coming in close to measurements or around measurement time.
Yeah, probably. Because the censorship would have been kicked in strong there. So if you're looking for flat Earth material, you probably would have been deluged with flat Earth isn't flat material on YouTube and all the other platforms.
Let's take it through its succession, right? It's the Black Swan was 1st Jan 2020, right?
Yeah.
After the Black Swan, then 10th Man started leaking out in the pre-show. Celestial Navigation.
He was an anomaly because he expressed that he came in and was pretty much mainlined into Nathan and the Black Swan and stuff like that. So it was kind of before the dip after 2020.
So he avoided the Feast of Nonsense then.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, he avoided the Feast of Nonsense, and that's what we want to get a handle on. The people that did not go to the Feast of Nonsense, that just came into the measurements. I want to hear from them.
Yeah, I had to discover that I was lied to, and then I was brought in with Flat Earth. So I had a realization that I was lied to first, and then I started researching Flat Earth.
Okay, what's the first thing you came across in your research?
Man. Like I said, that we were lied to, that we're not on the globe. That was the first thing. It's like I watched a video and was like, okay, they pretty much were telling and bringing out like psyops. Like I guess back then there was a documentary with Logan Paul, how they used him to say, the Earth is flat, and then they did a documentary, and then he turns out Logan Paul saying, oh, the Earth is not flat. So they pretty much explained stuff like that, like psyops and stuff.
Yeah, that's the nonsense part
way.
of it again. That was from the conference and that, yes.
Yeah, that's it. Robbie Davidson and his other crew of freaking balls.
Yeah, you got Patricia Steers, Mark Sargent, Robbie Davidson. Yeah. Robbie Davidson actually invited him onto that conference, didn't he? He booked him in. Yeah.
So back to our the topic earlier about how to bring up flat Earth to people, and from my experience, I had to be told that I was lied to. Like, you don't live on a globe. This is all. It's all a lie, and that's when it really set into me. So I think personally, it takes time. Back in 2017 or 18, somebody like I was a glober, and somebody brought up flat Earth to me, and looking back, I was in so denial. They told me, hey, you should research flat Earth. Hey, you should look at the boats sailing away. You should, and I was in so, and this was back in 2017, 2018, and I was just in so denial. Like there was no way that you can convince me. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was stupid. And then it took time for me to just stumble across a video that I was told that I was lied to. So it wasn't somebody brought in measurements and explained flat Earth that way.
Okay.
I had to stumble across a video.
So how do you know now, today, for sure and without a doubt, that you're on a flat Earth?
I can observe. I started seeing for myself with my own eyes without being told, hey, this is how the Earth moves or rotates or how this operates. I went out and I looked up at the sky, and it actually brought me closer to the Bible, and that's pretty much how it was. And I felt better. I felt inside. I felt like I knew, like it just overall. Because before I was lost, kind of lost in the sauce.
You still got a belief system.
You was a flat Earth believer there.
Yeah, you still got a belief system. You got to know for sure and without a doubt that Earth is flat.
So, okay,
and there's only one way you can do that.
Well, I've seen the sun rays. I've seen the way the moon shines through the clouds, and it's like, you know that it's local. You know that it's not so far away like they say.
How do you know it's local?
Thing is,
whoa, back up. You don't know that it's local. How do you know that?
Well, I know that it's not far away. It's not like they say, because
how do you know
the way
that?
the light shines.
We can't get
it to see it.
But not only that,
that's a housekeeping question. Nobody knows the
not
distance
only
from the
that,
sun.
not only that, Neil, I think, sorry to cut you off, but like we said earlier, I think the guy, sorry, what's your name? Sorry, pal, I forgot your name. The guy who's talking. Yeah, he's going through a process. And from what we're gathering so far, which I went through a similar thing when I believed the Earth was flat. I didn't know it at that point. I had a good feeling, a guts feeling in my soul that this place is definitely not a ball. Now, at that point,
so let me ask you, can you agree that it takes? Can you agree that it takes time for people to understand? Maybe some people just don't, like you say, the Earth is measured flat. How can I personally measure it flat myself to experiment that? I have yet to do that, and I don't know how.
What do you mean? Did you drive your car today?
I certainly did, and it's flat.
There you go. So you got miles, right? Miles are flat. If you anytime you drive a certain distance, let's say you take a 500-mile trek, you've measured the Earth flat in miles. Anytime you take a flight, you've measured the Earth flat. Anytime you see surveyors, they're surveying the Earth flat. Now, we're not saying you're measuring the whole size of the Earth. That's not what we're saying. But once you show us that it is flat on one measurement, it's flat. Because the unique thing about a sphere is there are no flatness of a sphere. There's no flat surfaces on a sphere. So once you got one measurement, you've measured the Earth flat.
That is correct. And that's how I know. I don't think I would ever go back to the globe. I cannot believe
one at a
there's no way that I
time.
could go back.
One deck
I've
first.
been on a plane. I have never seen curvature. That's observable with my own eyes. I've never seen curvature.
See, you're going backwards. You're going back. You're looking for curvature. Yep. That's the way we're all. I'm starting to think. Let me just get this out. I'm starting to think now that ain't nobody going to get it immediately if you tell them Earth is measured flat. The indoctrination is so heavy that people are still going to go up on a plane and say, well, there's no curvature there, so Earth is flat. Instead of just going right to the measurements. It's easy for us because we're in it for.
Well, we don't know how to measure.
I've got to go through the whole rigmarole.
It's easier to get a Nikon P900 than a sextant.
You don't need a sextant. Did you hear me say a sextant once?
No, I'm just saying.
I don't believe that I'm going backwards. I'm just adding on to what I've already known. So if I go up on a plane and I'm looking,
mate,
it's not that I'm looking for curvature. It's confirmation.
Let me just say, mate,
it's confirmation. That's what it is.
Let me just say to you. Sorry, he's breaking up.
Finish up, Charlie. Go ahead.
I don't think that I'm questioning. It's confirmation is what I'm doing. I know that the earth is flat. It's confirmation for me. When I go up on a plane and I don't see curvature, okay, cool. That checks off the list. Okay, when I look up in the sky and I see the sun and the moon are almost the same size, that's confirmation. Okay, boom. I can see the sun rays from the sun. Okay, I think it's confirmation for me that it checks off the list. Okay, this is what we're doing.
That's coming.
So I don't think
so Charlie, calm down, mate. We know what, and no one's getting at you either, mate. But don't, we're just chatting with you. But you said in that sentence, you know the flat, but you're looking for confirmation of it. So at the moment, you don't know it's flat. You're just like looking at the sun and the lights in the sky, which isn't measurements of the Earth. I mean, all you've got to do really is look at any elevation profile of the Earth, because it's from a 0 degree baseline called sea level, and any height above it and any height below it is the elevation profile. It's from a 0 degree horizontal mean sea level. So so mapping, just look at maps and elevation profiles. You don't have to do it. Somebody's already measured it for you. What? You just need to look at the evidence. That's evidence.
Yeah, it's all right there, Charlie. It's in front of everybody. They just choose not to see it because of the kind of programming and how it's been beaten into our heads. And it's all surface level measurement and height above surface level, eye level, and parallel. And any type of navigation that you do, the way we fly, the way we navigate. I mean, Look at a compass and look at a ball. That isn't what we're seeing here. We're on a plane of reference as far as everything we do on Earth. There's just no, until you come to that understanding, that can be difficult, and we're always trying to, because of the programming, have these. Yes. So that it can be difficult for them because they're always trying to, we've had a lot of balls put in our face throughout our whole life in this conceptual model of what they've programmed people with. So that's why I don't like to sit there and say, well, there should be curvature, because there is no curvature. That is never measured, and that is witnessed everywhere we go, from surface level and mean sea level and height above. And this is in front of everybody. They just can't grasp that on that level because of kind of what we've been told in the programming. And this is early, like 1500s in your Copernican system stuff, and Kepler and Huygens, and then I think it really took hold in the early 1900s that this conceptual model of Earth, even though nothing we do here shows any of that, is how it functions, even with navigation, everything we do. I just had the other day, a friend of mine was telling me how he thought he seen curvature being in a plane. And I've done many videos of distance photography. I don't even like to use that as evidence anymore. There was a point in time when I was first getting into this that I thought I would, and then you're perpetuating this argument kind of when it's not there. There is none of these things. It's
but this is what I'm saying. Then you don't need any of that, though. But then once you come to an understanding, even if you go pull up Al-Biruni, Eratosthenes, and you look at the diagrams of how he supposedly measured Earth to sphere, you're going to see flat plane everywhere. So once you come to that understanding, what more confirmation do you need? That should shatter any illusion that you were given as you were growing up as a child.
That's exactly correct, but then you have to help. You have to help other people. Their indoctrination is shattered. Okay, sorry to talk over you there. I was just confirming that what Neil said is correct, but then that's for you personally that was indoctrinated, but then this next person will need to go through the same methodology you go through, and that's where you come in. You're that person.
Now here's
that
the
helps
thing.
grow.
Here's my question, Jen, and this is what I'm stuck on. I've said it before.
Yeah.
Did it come so easy for me when Penn started laying it out? Because I went through the whole course. Would I have done it immediately if somebody came in and said that, you know what? I'll give you a flat earth to that perspective. Or did I get it so quickly at that moment because I went through everything that I went through? That's the question I have.
Yeah. In my personal experience, I got it within 10 minutes. I got it. And again, because...
What did you get within 10 minutes? Clarify. What did you get?
Oh, that the Earth isn't a globe and it's flat, basically. It's measured flat. And you're looking at long distance observations is the killer of the globe. And then the black swan came after. But I'm talking about 2015, yeah? Okay, so that's what I got. And then I looked
I didn't hear
at
measured flat from anybody until 2021 or something. 2022.
Yeah, I'm talking about from 2015, you see, yeah. So that's how I got it. I got it within 10 minutes. I didn't have any depression. It was just my realization of my mistake. That's all it was. It's easy to understand.
I got all globe debunking. See, I got the gas pressure without containment. Boom. I was sold on that. I was like, okay, it can't be a globe, but I did not know it was flat yet. I knew it wasn't a globe. I didn't have any rock solid evidence that Earth was measured flat until I got it that Earth was measured flat. But did I get it because I went through everything else?
I didn't start to get it till I listened to you gentlemen, and then many books, and that's where I started to finally pick up on it.
Well, just so you know, Michael and friends, the number to beat here is 8 minutes. I got it in 8 minutes, so that's the number to beat. Just so you know.
I think it takes you got that Earth is measured flat in 8 minutes. You knew it was flat beyond the shadow of a doubt. The Earth is flat, not just the globe debunking.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, they don't make it any easier because in the PSYOP, what do they tell us?
A lot of these guys coming out of the woodworks.
It's locally flat. So you know, I mean, the mind fucking is really, it's going all the way, you know?
I didn't hear anybody talking about they knew it was measured flat in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, or even 20.
No,
you guys are coming out of the woodworks now. Yeah, I know it was measured.
Nobody would have been saying that, because when we first started saying it, or when I first started saying it, I got pushback from people who didn't like me saying Earth's measured flat. Anyway, does this mic sound okay? This is an AKG C214. How's it sound? Good?
Intel on Discord.
Yep.
Sounds
okay?
Good, Nathan.
Jolly good.
A bit muffled.
A bit muffled?
Yeah.
No, you're fine. Whoever is speaking is muffled. You're fine. You sound good.
All I care is whether or not I sound good on this very expensive microphone that was shipped in a bleeding bag. Very irritating, but it seems to be okay.
Yeah, so there's a stage where you're a flat earther, so you don't actually know at that point the Earth is measured flat. You just know.
Neil, how long did it take you to realize it? Like when you put a level, like a spirit level, on your wall, how long did it take you to realize that level is horizontal? Longer than 8 minutes? Shorter than 8 minutes?
No, I mean,
we didn't hear anybody talking about it. Come on, no tanks. You weren't talking about it.
When I listen. When I started to believe that I didn't live on a globe, it was a belief. I just believed the Earth was flat.
Like the terminology, Earth is measured. Brian. The terminology, Earth is measured flat. You know, I mean that's a term, right? And then what you're what are we referencing in the situation, right? We're referencing level, right? We're referencing whether it be eye level, water level, surface level at any change in elevation. It's just a straight line. So what are we actually referencing? I mean, the phrase, Neil, to your point.
Not questioning that. Hold on. Everybody was talking about flat water. Everybody was talking. Nobody was saying, I know Earth is flat because it's measured that way. You're darn right. Nobody was saying it.
I just know but I just know for most people I encounter, the globe has to be deconstructed for them. It's not something that they would just jump on to know how the globe was constructed using flat Earth measurements. Usually you have to go through that. You have to tear down the delusion.
That's what I'm starting to realize now.
Exactly. That's exactly the point.
This is the question I've been asking. If I would have known all this back then, would I have gotten it? I don't think I would have, because I'm hearing from people that are just coming in that the globe has to be deconstructed first. Really, it was constructed right from the beginning with the flat Earth measurements, but you still have to destruct something that was constructed by flat Earth.
That's exactly what I've been saying.
Blows my mind.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying all along. Yeah, you've got to deconstruct it. And when we were at the very beginning, we couldn't measure curvature. So clearly we were measuring it flat. Like, we probably wasn't saying it, but that's exactly what we were saying. No measurable curvature. That's what we've always said, you see. And if there's no measurable curvature, what is it? It's flat. There you have it. 10 years.
Yeah, but you're not constructing the globe. You're deconstructing a religion.
It may be the case, but I think what Jim and somebody else got into had to do with that they're having a delusion. This is what kind of I've come across trying to actually convince somebody. So there's one sense you want trying to win a debate, or you're trying to put forth facts, and then there's actually trying to convince someone. If your goal is not to convince them, go ahead and just win the arguments with facts. That's fine. But if you're trying to convince them, you have to tear down the delusion they're having. Because I've ran into people who think that they can see the curve from the airplane.
Flat. That's the only convincing. That's the only proof we got. I don't get you guys. I'm lost.
The problem is that at the moment people are still stuck in this idea that we have to deconstruct a globe. And I'm saying, okay, fine, if I lean into your idea that we have to deconstruct a globe and somebody starts presenting their suggested evidence of a globe, it doesn't take long for us to point out where in their preconceived notions of a globe they require flat Earth measurements.
Exactly.
Yeah, but again, it depends on the individual as to how well they'll receive that and digest it and understand it. Some people don't get it.
Okay.
Well, this is what we're trying to say to you.
Well, that leaves them with two options, Jin. Number one, if they are explaining to you how a distance to a geometric horizon measured off surface level with parallel eye level and perpendicular height off sea level proves that we've got a geometric horizon below said flat surface level, and you point out that you need to measure a flat surface level with parallel eye level and perpendicular height off the surface level in order to make your inference there's a geometric horizon below the surface level, when you point that out, they've got two choices. Number one, they say, no, I do not accept the flat Earth measurements I'm using to suggest I'm on a ball. We call that the hard place. Or they accept the friggin' flat Earth measurements they've just used. Those are the only two choices they've got.
Well, yeah, and then you've got all the psychology that's wrapped up with the one that's saying they don't accept the flat Earth measurements that they are using. They're confused, and this is where you may have to elaborate more if you are prepared to do that yourself, and they are showing the interest. Because people can be confused, and they are confused. So it's down to you and what you're prepared to do. And if the individual is willing, because they're showing that interest, then you carry on. You may have to elaborate.
And when they're denying their own flat Earth measurements they've used to suggest they're on a ball and calling you a flat-tard, you just get into the fight.
That's one individual. That's one type of person. There are different types of people out there thinking in different ways. Okay? I've met them 10 years. So I know what I'm talking about here. You're mentioning one type of psychological behavior. This is where, like, I'm thankful that I've been to the 24/7 because they've had so many come in. And I'm the one that's saying to the listeners, you will be watching the psychology of this individual and look at how they're behaving when they're being told categorically that it's measured flat. There is no measurable curvature, and look at the way they behave. And they behave in all different ways. And you're going to have to explain it in different ways at times. That's just life. And the guy that said you have to deconstruct, you may have to deconstruct. Okay? It's indoctrination. There's no getting away from it. It's measured flat without a doubt. That is the answer. Top of the list. Boom. 100 points. But sometimes you have to go through different explanations, still keeping in line with the 100%,
Jim, it's the top of the list for a globe, too. You know that, right? The globe is measured flat.
The globe doesn't exist, really, and that's what I'm trying to get to the people.
Well, you're trying to get it across to them, but what they're believing in came from flat Earth measurements.
Right.
There would be no constructing of illusion if you didn't go flat first.
But that's how I started out, by telling them it's flat, you see. And then this is where they start to get upset or twisted or sometimes abusive, and then you follow through because you're defending the truth and the fact that it's measured flat, and then you may have to elaborate. That's with a sticky wicket type individual. Then there'll be others that say, what do you mean by it's measured flat? And then you've got the time to explain how it's utilized. You may be able to use some industries that are using flat, depending on the individual. So you've got to remember, okay? So, anyway, I know what I'm doing. I'm getting results. I've got no worries. I'm prepared for the long haul, short haul, in-betweens. That's me. Leave no one behind. Thank you.
Jin's got women wanting to have his baby.
That's true, I tell you. All because they learned from me that the Earth was flat, for example. It moved them to make that statement. There you are.
Yeah, Jin's saying that
I guess the world will never know.
So we have a flat Earth meeting sometimes that people come here and they're open to the fact that they've been lied to. And then those are the ones that the measurements work the best because you're giving them, like Neil likes to say, the silver bullet. Like, here's how you know. And then you can construct the globe from these flat Earth measurements. That, like, it works the best. But there's people who try to put forth their so-called globe evidence. And to them, pointing them out, usually you'll go back to saying it's locally flat. So what is the response when they come back to you with it's locally flat?
You say yes.
Flat then, right?
You say yes, that's correct. Yes, Earth is measured flat, as you have now admitted to.
So isn't that a stalemate when they say it's locally flat?
So when they say it's measured flat, that's a stalemate? No, that's them accepting that it's flat and that's how it's measured. What, locally? Yeah, that's right. You can only measure things locally. I mean, unless you've got other people across the plane that also measure it at the same time as you, then they're not local to you. They're local to themselves. But you as an individual can only measure locally. But when someone says, well, yeah, we measure it locally flat, you say the following words: welcome to flat Earth.
Yeah, it's a concession.
That's right.
No, locally flat everywhere you go. There's no. I mean, ask them to define local. I mean, it's interesting.
Yes, thank you.
What do you mean define local?
That's what I was going to say. How far is local? I've heard. No tanks was there actually when we asked that question, and the guy said 100 miles, and we cracked up. Yeah, that's what you do. You ask. How far is what is your distance for your local? And we just cracked up.
So the flight going from New York to LA, leveling off at 30,000 feet for, 1,500 miles? More, probably two. That's not enough, huh?
Wouldn't this get into the radius value being destroyed at that point on their conceptual model, though, as far as what they've, told the mainstream and that mainstream counterintelligence that's out there at that point?
Absolutely.
No, it starts with them deriving the radius value from flat measurements. So you're saying, well, does it destroy the measurement? Well, where do you get the radius value from? Radius for a start is a straight line. Where'd you get it? Well, if you measure Earth flat with a minimum elevation angle to Polaris, or you can derive it, calculate it with the Al-Biruni method, where you measure Earth flat for the height of the mountains. So you've got to measure Earth flat to get a radius. But again, you don't have to measure Earth flat, create a radius with the flat Earth measurements, create a ball with the radius, and then destroy the radius. You needed a flat Earth to begin with.
That's the whole point. The prerequisite flat Earth right from Jump Street. That's what we've been saying here. We're going to stop them right at the first use of a flat Earth, and that's usually within 10 seconds.
Yes. The silence was appropriate.
Very well said, Nathan. Very well said.
I believe that was me.
Well, I'm glad we got that squared away.
I don't think it's ever going to be squared away, Nathan.
No, I'm going to operate as I usually operate.
Yeah, and I don't like that whole. Hold on, I don't like that whole thing we've been lied to. That troubles me.
We've been misinformed.
The book will help.
Yeah, because once you go down, you've been lied to. Whether it's true or not, now you go into the conspiracy realm. And that's the way they designed it. I'm sorry. They designed it all to go down the conspiracy road so flat Earth itself can be a conspiracy. And what do you think flat Earth is labeled? A conspiracy, when really it's a globe.
It's measured flat. That's all you've got to say to them. And a conspiracy means that people who are grouped together to deceive. It's there in the definition. So there you are. If you've been deceived, then someone's conspired to do that. There you are.
There's an incredible effort out there to continue
lump flat Earth
to
in with all these conspiracies. 9/11, Nathan's gone over it 1 million times. And the reason why they've done that is so flat Earth itself can be a conspiracy. That is the bottom line, because flat Earth today is still a conspiracy. Look it up.
Yeah. When I meet people who say that, I correct that thinking. That's what I do. And they're the ones who end up being embarrassed. Because you show them the definition, and then you show them how they're unable to prove their globe. That's an embarrassment on their side. Yeah.
How do you show them that it's a that it's not a conspiracy, Jen?
Well,
Take me through it.
Well, how do I show them that it's not a conspiracy? Flat Earth's not a conspiracy. It's the truth. That's why. It's not a conspiracy. The Earth is, but the conspiracy is coming from those who've tried to deceive us. That's the conspiracy, and that's what you show them. The fact that you can't, well, because they're showing me because they're unable to prove the Earth a globe. There it is, right there. They can't prove the Earth's a globe, can they? They can't prove it. That's it. Well, there's your conspiracy right there. You could even go as far as to say, you're in a cult, you're in a religion. You can, that's what you end up saying to them sometimes, depending on the individual and how they've been performing in front of you, how they've addressed you. So it's easy. I don't sweat it.
In their mind, though, with all the misinformation that's out there, they think that they're proving it. Obviously, they're just watching CGI and movies, but all your, I guess I like counterintelligence information that's out there. I mean, you can just see a ton of this stuff if not everybody's looking at any Google articles, but just feeds that come through on the ridiculous information out there. They were just saying the other day they witnessed asteroids hitting the moon, and you have people that are out there reading this stuff and believing it, and there's a huge amount of it that comes out on a level that is poisoning their reality and what they think is happening above us in dirt coming from the sky. And I think they just go to great lengths to keep this out there, and that in itself is difficult in causing problems, as long as that information is being perpetuated out there in the minds of the people. You're going to continue to have people that believe these things on this fantastical level. I see it all the time, and I just laugh when I read some of these articles that Never a Straight Answer group comes up with, and they continue to pump this stuff out there. And I'm on TikTok a little bit, even though I don't communicate a whole bunch on there, but that's a whole mess in itself, in the stuff that people are putting out there. Just the other day, somebody was saying that.
Yeah,
the other day somebody was saying that they were shooting lasers 93 million miles to the sun and measuring this stuff, and he's really believing that this is happening. So that's a problem in itself, as long as that continues, and that's warping people's reality and their perception.
Yeah,
Well, how'd they get those measurements?
Well, when I die and they lay me to rest, I'm going to go to a place that's the best. When I lay down to die, I want to go up to the soil in the sky.
I thought you were coming with something serious there. How'd they get those 93 million mile measurements about a laser? What did I hear somebody just say? How'd they derive those measurements?
That was me. I was just saying that there's, I listen to these people talk about that as evidence that they just did this in their mind, even though they don't understand the, plane of reference and where you'd be getting any kind of, measurement like that from cyclical repeating patterns and, things like that, and making claims about what the sun is and what the sun isn't, which, I don't like to put that out there, because I don't know. I can't substantiate that information, so, but a lot of them do. And then it comes from a source of information that can really cause a problem in their perception of this. And then it takes a couple steps back, because they really believe that the experts and these people that are, intelligent beyond what the normal amount of us are, have this information, and it can be damaging as far as what they believe is going on. I see it all the time. I just thought I'd add that.
Yeah, I see that all the time, and I deal with them when they come along. I deal with them. I leave them with no doubt that we're not going to space, can't go to the moon. It's never happened. It's a second law of thermodynamics violation. It's a fantasy, and hit them with some facts, and then leave them. That's it. If they want to carry on believing it, that's up to them. It's okay. Good luck.
They threw a whole bunch of stuff into this arena to muddy it all up. Even science. What does science have to do with the shape of the earth? Nothing, right? But it's in there, right?
You've got to have a friend in Jesus, so you know that when you die, he's going to recommend you go up to the soil in the sky.
The soil in the sky.
Yeah, the spirit in the sky.
Dude, they got the soil. Nathan, one deck, you got to get to work on that song. One deck, it's no longer the spirit in the sky, it's the soil in the sky. Boy, you could make a great song with that.
From the 60s.
So what we're talking about is also the fact that while we're talking with Globers and we're trying to share with them what we've learned, sometimes it's necessary or desired to have some tools alongside, whether that be camera footage, et cetera, But this is where Nathan's book is going to be a real game changer. And I'm waiting, and I can hardly wait to get that book, because it will really bring discussions right back and right to the start. And I'm certain that the way this book is laid out, it will bring this point home clear, straight away, right, bar none. And I'm looking forward to that, Nathan.
Which book? Paula's book? Oh, Nathan's book. Right.
A wonderful gift of knowledge. I can't wait to be able to gift a couple of those books. I'd like to give one to my son, and I have a pastor friend that was open to flat Earth that I worked with briefly, and he was very open-minded. I sent him when he worked with me briefly, and I'm in Minnesota, and he moved out to the West Coast, the California area with his family. But before he left, I sent him on his way with a Edward Hendry book, The Greatest Lie in the World. So he was very open-minded to a lot of things. So which was, I've run into a few people like that I've tried to share this information with. Some people I haven't had, obviously, the best of luck with, and then, I kind of take a step back as far as what they're willing to listen to and understand and not immediately shut down. But yeah, he was very open-minded, so that was.
You know what's good news too? I've been hearing that a lot of pastors are starting to preach biblical cosmology and challenging their congregation to look into it. But what Earth really is, not what they were taught in school. I got that from Fisherman in a Box. He's from Minnesota too.
Hey,
if anybody
man.
hasn't been subscribe to Fisherman in a Box. He's ace.
Yes, I see the gentleman in here right now. Hello, Fisherman.
Hello to you, Michael. Yeah, interesting times we're living in. And thanks for the shout out, boys. Not necessary, but greatly appreciated. To address Jen's point too here, I understand what he's doing, but Jen, you have a tendency to tell people things, and Nathan teaches people things. That's my observation.
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting.
Yeah, I resent that entirely. Thank you.
Well, with all due respect, my friend, every time they ask you how you're doing something, you always you say, this is what I tell them. Well, you're not teaching anybody. You're telling people things. Nathan takes it. Listen, there's enough here on equal circles of equal elevation and measuring angles to Polaris and protractors and compasses and everything else. There's enough right within this little field to become polished. That's my goal, is to keep it short, simple, keep it on the straight and narrow, and then send them on their way. Listen, when you go into a second or third grade geometry book and you go to the very first pages of definitions, what is a point? What is a line? What is a square? What is a rectangle? What is a circle? What is a sphere? When you get to sphere, the very definition of a sphere is perpetual curvature in all directions. Take any 2 points, connect them anywhere on a sphere, and you have either forward motion or perpetual motion between those 2 points. There are no straight lines on a sphere. It should be done, over, kaput, finished, end of sentence, right there. But it's not. So you got to give them these little nuggets and send them on their way. You're not going to tell. People don't like to be told things. They like to hear something and then go on their own way and figure it out themselves.
It depends on who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with anti-flat earthers, there I end up telling them. If I'm talking about people who I'm educating, then I'm obviously explaining and showing. Like I've said, I deal with different people. When I say I'm telling somebody, that'll be the stick in the mud, anti-flat earther. They get told, because that's the attitude that they deserve when they're giving you a negative and they're actually being disingenuous. But the genuine people who are confused and sincerely want to know, well, of course, I'm showing them. I'm actually showing them and explaining to them and helping them along and answering their questions as best I can. And I've met many people like that. So please don't mistake the way I say I tell somebody. That's dealing with one type of group, okay? And like I said, I resent that anyway, because you don't really know me to make that statement, actually.
I've paid attention to you. I've listened to your commentary here. So I understand where you're coming from. And I understand what you're doing.
So
listen,
thank you.
Hey, there are two ways of doing things.
You can do it the broad way.
I
or you can
know
do it the
that.
straight,
Like
narrow
I said,
way.
I'm defending my position, and I'm going to
That's all
defend
I'm
it.
saying. You want to go down the
don't
broad
know
way and go
me
on the feast
to
of
make
nonsense?
that
Do it.
statement, sir. You don't know me. Okay? Refrain. Thank you. I resent what you said. Pay attention to what I'm telling you now. I'm telling you now. Please, I do not like what you said.
It's not personal, Jim.
Yeah, of course it is. Because
this
it is a
it.
personal
This
thing.
is it. What if I was a glober and I gave you this argument? Well, I'm just giving you.
If you're a
I'm
glober that's
supposed
an
to be a
anti-glober,
friendly.
then you're going to meet the
I'm
wrath,
supposed
of course,
to be
if
a
you're being
friendly.
obnoxious and rude. But if you're a person who
Yeah.
genuinely doesn't understand, then of course I'm going to explain it to the individual and show them. You have to. But you don't know me. You haven't seen me in that operation properly. You just don't know me to make that statement. Unfortunately,
Anger's not going to get you very far either. Anger is never going to get you very far, my friend.
It gets me far with those who are being silly and trying to insult us, etc., etc. And then those, like I've said, who are nice and genuine and don't understand, they're not abusive. So I don't get angry with them. Again, you don't know, do you? I'm just blurting out.
Let me get in between you guys for a second. Hold on.
Yeah, shut the man up, man.
I've been in servers where Jin takes his time with people and leads them on. I 100% understand why he's getting a little offended in that. Now, to come from Fisherman's angle, he's going by what he's hearing you say today, right now, Jin. So,
yeah,
we're all
and again
friendly
today,
here.
today he's misunderstood me because that there are many people and they have different levels of understanding. The fact that I've said that should mean to him that Jin would be using degrees of approach. But if you want to say, "Oh, I've only heard you say you tell," well, that's a mistake. And I'm telling you, you made an error in judging my character. You don't have that right. Thank you. I don't judge you. I don't know you, so don't be judging you. So please do not judge me. Thank you.
I'm not judging you. I'm saying
You've
there are
done
two
that.
ways of doing this. There's a
You've
broad
only heard me
way,
tell
which you take,
well, that's not true,
and a
though.
narrow way.
Thank you. I
That's
know
not
the
a
ways.
judgment, friend.
Don't worry.
That's not
I
a
know
judgment,
the roots.
my friend.
10 years. I've been in it 10 years, so I know the roots. Thank you. Or roots, should I
That
say.
is amazing. Anyway, thanks for the opportunity to converse there, boys. Appreciate it. And like I said, I wish you well. I wish you well, Jen. I wish you well.
Yeah. I wish you well too, sir. Thank you.
I wish everyone
well. Now, I wish everyone well too. Now, Fisherman, what's this ether stuff I've been hearing about on your show?
Now, I'm not going down the ether because I don't know. I take the position that most everyone here takes. I don't know what it is. Until someone brings me a cup of ether, I don't know what it is. I know that there are ether studies. I don't want to go there because it's piece of nonsense stuff. I'm more interested in letting people figure out how the earth is measured. That's it. Ether is ether. That's out there somewhere. That's with the magnetism and all that other stuff. Gravity. None of that stuff measures the earth. None of it. But it comes up. It comes up. So I'll kick that can down the road when it, becomes more prevalent. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it.
I'm not going to hold that to you, but there was a few people in your chat that I was going at it with. So this ether, the ether studies, I mean, how could they study something that they can't even define? That's my whole thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of our same crowd still lends an ear to Witsit. And, I hate to say it, but my own pastor brings up the ether as well. Now, and what do you do with that? You got to say, well, they haven't spent the time here understanding the science of physics, leave the science word out, just physics, and realizing that you've got to go get something physical. And until they do that, they don't. They can guess, they can observe, but they don't know. Somebody knows, but whoever knows ain't telling.
Yeah, that's a shame because I knew it was going to start getting into the churches, and pretty soon they're going to hitch it up with the Holy Spirit, and you're going to have a big mess on your hands there.
Well, like I said, I stay away from the ether. I'll give it 10 seconds of commentary, and then that's about it. I'll send them to Witsit.
Oh, boy.
Right, are we all done?
Where you in a rush to go?
Got microphones to sell, I'm afraid, Neil.
Yeah.
I'll make a video with my new 214 that I've just bought. Now that I know it works.
Is that the one you came in on?
Yes, a minute ago, yeah.
I just have one thing to offer.
Gentlemen. Thank you, by the way, everybody.
No worries. Surf Daddy, go ahead. You can get the last word in.
Oh, okay. I think it might be helpful to categorize people into maybe 3 categories. One, I would call the hardballers, basically anti-flat earthers. They're the ones that say stupid stuff like the only reason we have a horizon is because it's a globe. Stuff like that. Those are the hardballers, the anti-flat earthers. Then there's people who are, I would call, intentionally deceived. And those are the ones that think they know the truth, but they've never really looked for the truth. They just accept what they've been told. And then there's the everyman that never even thinks about it. And those are the ones that need the careful and gentle instruction in what is absolutely true. So what Fishman was talking, first page of your geometry book. Level is level, horizontal is horizontal, vertical and horizontal are 90 degrees perpendicular, etc. Straight lines, horizontal lines are always parallel, verticals parallel, and stuff like that. Those people who are open to being just told the truth or taught the truth because they ask a question, like a child, why is the sky blue? Why? How did we measure our latitudes for making maps? Right? Stuff like that. You hit them with Earth is measured flat in a gentle way and just point out the truth. The ones that are the deceived, whether intentionally or not, the ones that are intentionally deceived are the ones that are denying what is true. You say water is level, and they deny that, but they only deny it because they assume the Earth's a ball. They don't want to know the truth, but maybe they're open to the truth, and you can just hit them with, what is true, and maybe make your arguments, and like Jen, you massage it, and you just go with whatever the person you're interacting with can handle if they'll have the conversation. The hardballers are the ones that, if you even engage at all, that's when you use your ninja stars and all of your heliocentric knowledge to rebut their stupid comments and show them the horizontal distance measurement in the curve calculator and show them a picture of a flat horizon, and say, okay, I see no curve there. And don't spend much time with them. Just hit them with a ninja star and move on. But I think in this whole conversation that we've been having the last hour, it would be helpful to define who we're talking with, whether it's the hardballers, the deceived, and the people who haven't even thought about it. I don't have a label for them, but the ones that are open to the truth. So there you go. That's a thought.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining me on Nathan Oakley 1980 channel's membership page, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.